Well, fresh off the back of a trip to the Ardennes, we now move through to the Adriatic. We are here at MISANO for the International GT Open 2026 season, round 3, our first venture to this circuit in the series history. And now the championship is heating up more so now. Fresh off the back of the first 500 race of this campaign. The first of 2, incidentally. Spa-Francorchamps going the way of Christian Mansell and Maximilian Goertz, who has now taken back-to-back 500 races. They now lead the championship on 54 points. 12 ahead of Tom Empson and Tom Leben, whose consistency has led them to this point where they are second and in behind the championship leaders. Great work from the elite team with Dean McDonald and Zach Meakin, who arrive in 3rd in the championship on 25 points. But crucially enough, despite the issues that plagued them back at Spa last time out, they're on pole position for the start of our very first race at MISANO. George Morgan here, taking you through the commentary for today's race, and alongside me, it's Chris Stevens.
Hello, George. I'm surprised you're still with us after, building a new house and buying a new car thanks to your crypto partners. Honestly, I'm amazed you're still here.
Yeah, for those of you who are curious as to what's happened, my Twitter account got hacked, Chris, which was absolutely devastating. But I got it back this morning.
It was good news this morning, wasn't it?
It was good news. It was good news. But nonetheless, more good news because we are back for the International GT Open. And Dean McDonald, good news for him. He's back on the front row. Bear in mind, this is a car that also ran away to success on for round 1, finishing the second race at the very top of the order. 15 points going their way off the back of that. They're going to be met, though, by Tom Empson on the front row with Elite Motorsport. Effectively, Chris, just sheer consistency bringing them to this point, second in the championship table.
I think pressure is on for the 33 crew, though, after not scoring points at the double points meeting at Spa-Francorchamps.
So significant.
Their drop score has been taken in that one race now, so pressure's going to be on them. That's a championship contending crew, and they're starting this race on pole position and handicap free. This is a monstrous opportunity for them to undo some of that damage. Elite Motorsport and SVC there, they were on the podium at Spa-Francorchamps and still running very well. But this is the championship leading crew. Christian Mansell, really last gasp effort in qualifying there to put it on the 3rd row of the grid. The Mercedes not working so well here compared to the Ferraris and seemingly the McLaren as well. The Audis running very well in the Pro-Am Championship as well. Jim Pla lining up 2nd in that one behind class pole sitter Carol Bash and Vincent Abril just behind him as well. The Mercedes also taking a little bit of a BOP change as we're 10 kilos lighter, but with a smaller restrictor, so a little bit less power coming from the 6.2 litre V8 in the front of that Mercedes. And that 71 crew has got to take 20 seconds of handicap. Maxi Goertz told me this morning he'll be amazed if they finish inside the top 10.
Well, we'll wait and see. David Fuminelli, welcome back to the championship, my friend. Obviously alongside Al-Faisal Al-Zubair, who we generally see in a Mercedes in the International GT Open, but they're now with Dragon Racing Ferrari. Alex Fontana, thumbs up from the Swiss, as he will line up alongside Pietro Armani. ZRS, remember, winning the first round at the first race of this season's campaign.
Home race for ZRS Motorsport and the Zambon family, but another team under pressure because of the mechanical issue they had at Spa. They didn't finish that race either, so a fat nil point for another of our Portimao winners. And the Porsche not running too terribly well, seemingly as well, down on the 5th row of the grid.
Reunion with us, and Anthony Bartone back on the grid as well. The American lining up alongside Fabian Schiller, ever a character. These two, of course, tried and tested in the International GT Open, obviously looking to get some running in at MISANO. Lucas Wolf of FAC Auto Tech, we welcome him to the grid as well once more, alongside Alexander Afak.
Yes, stepping in for Alexander Schwarzer, who couldn't be here this weekend. Lucas Wolf was in the sister car at Spa, teammates with Jean Monegro. They won the AM category together, and Lucas Wolf was the fastest bronze driver in qualifying, up in 12th position overall. Yaroslav Visalaho in the 96 car for AF Corsa. New teammate for this weekend, which is Lorenzo Ferrari, stepping in for Thomas Neubauer, who's had to withdraw due to back pains, unfortunately. And Rafael Duran, another car that didn't finish in Spa-Francorchamps, and that was due to a fuel system issue when Tommaso Mosca was just less than 10 minutes away from a podium finish.
Marcelo Ramirez stepping in with Dominic Baumann once again. Of course, ever running in the Mercedes this time, though, this season with Motor Park. Of course, many of you might be familiar with his work in Get Speed as well in the past. We do, of course, have Serwin Mazur from Sendam Racing Team. He'll be starting 17th on the grid, will the pole, and in fact ahead of a contingent of AM drivers. He is the highest AM inside qualifying. We also head back to Hualin Ham from Target Racing. They're making their first appearance this season in the International GT Open, one of our wildcard appearances this season, looking to start fast from 18th on the grid on the 9th row, with Dexter Muller just in behind them, Joel Monegro Reyes, then in 20th, Andre Lewandowski, Alfredo Hernandez, Puerto Vera, Marcelo Han, Kalila Letlarka, Dragon Racing, obviously very well represented this season. Stanislav Jedlinski, that lone Olymp at the back of the grid.
Not seeing track focus there.
Highlights from Spa-Francorchamps, the first 500 race of the season. Really strong getaway for the Motor Park Mercedes of Christian Mansell and Maxi Goertz. They careered their way up through towards Les Combes in front. Zach Meakin and Dean McDonald also looked furiously quick. It was a really poor moment, though, for the 55 AF Corse. Laurent de Meus having a huge crash into the barrier. We then, of course, had the driver change windows as well. Remember 3 changes across the course of the race, with cars spilling in to make their necessary changes. Of course, it's the 11 that, of course, Lucas Wolff will be behind the wheel of, heading into our next race at Misano. Elite Racing were also chasing some big points. It was a furious final few stints from the Scuderia Valour Corsa team, who did not get away very well inside their first stint in the 500. Elite Racing were then making their changes with their driver changes. Of course, like I said, they've been so consistent through the course of this championship, and Tom Leben and Tom Emson working ever so hard, but no one could catch eventual race winners Maxi Goertz for the 2nd time in a row, and Christian Mansell lifting the trophy aloft. This is how the Drivers' Championship currently looks. Christian Mansell currently on 54 points, aligned with Maxi Goertz, with Tom Emson and Tom Leben 12 points behind. Then there's 29 points the gap to the drivers in 3rd place of Dean McDonald and Zach Meakin. It's nearly race time here at Misano for the first time in the International GT Open. Let's run you through the starting grid here at the Misano World Circuit. Marco Simoncelli. Dean McDonald takes pole position. He'll be starting on the front row. Alongside him, Tom Emson, an all-British lineup up at the very front, ahead of Carol Bash, who has been exceedingly quick all weekend, alongside Leonardo Moncini, who'll be looking for a better start than he had at Spa. Christian Mansell starts from 5th on the grid, the championship leader, aligned with Jim Pla on the 3rd row. We then head back to Vincent Abril of AF Corsa alongside David Fuminelli for Almanar by Dragon Racing. Warm welcome return for David Fuminelli, who's ahead of Alex Fontana, part of the team that won the very first race of the season, alongside Libor Milotta, who was fastest in the bronze test coming into this race weekend. Anthony Bartone, a welcome return for him as well, 11th place alongside Lucas Wolff on the 6th row of the grid. We then move down to Hubert Darmetko in the BMW M4 GT3. He's alongside Yaroslav Veselaho from AF Corsa, the Ukrainian, moving into GT3 for the first time this season. AF Corsa in 15th with Rafael Duran alongside Marcelo Ramirez in 16th place for Team Motor Park. Then head down to P17. It's Serwin Mazur for Sendam Racing Team, alongside him Hualin Han, the wildcard entry with Target Racing in 18th place. 19th place for Dexter Muller, lining up alongside Joel Monegro Reyes in 20th place for FAC Autotech. Then head further down to Andre Lewandowski, looking to cause a stir inside the AM Championship standings, with Alfredo Hernandez from Grupo Prom Racing Team in 22nd, 11th row. Puerto Vera in 23rd, and joined by Marcelo Han of the Blau Motorsport AF Corsa in 24th. Kalila Letlarka into Africa Racing by Dragon International lines up 25th alongside Norikazu Shibata, who will be handing over to Charlie Fagg, and Stanislav Jedlinski from the back of the grid, of course, has Christian Kozanowski alongside him as well. The formation lap now underway, folks. They'll then get themselves ordered and into position, ready for the rolling start. And for the first time, we'll witness this in the International GT Open here at Misano. Huge opportunity here for Dean McDonald and Zach Meakin here, Chris. They can't afford to drop the ball here. They have no handicap at stake during the driver change period.
It's a wide open net for Greystone here this weekend, and they've got to try and take a stand back in the championship. No handicap, as you mentioned. We are 27 cars strong here. Andre Borodin not qualifying the Greystone number 24 this morning, and we saw Darren Kell in the barriers at the end of qualifying in the track focus McLaren. Looks like they haven't been able to get that car fixed. It was a big job for them, and we've got to keep an eye out for the Pro-Am Championship as well. It's tied on points between Alexander Fack and Alexander Schwarzer in the number 11 car, and Charles Bateman in the Blackthorn Aston Martin, which is not here this weekend because it's at Le Mans, getting ready to do the Road to Le Mans support race. So Bateman taking his drop scores here this weekend. And then in the AM Championship, it's 2 points that separate the top three, with Galid Osman and Marcello Hahn for AF Corsa tied on points with Joel Monegro, our Spa 500 winner, and then the Lewandowski father-son combination, only 2 points further back from then at Baron Motorsport. That's all going to play out as well over the course of the next 70 minutes of racing, so an awful lot to keep an eye out for.
Yeah, shame not to see Blackthorn with us. Of course, they do have other plans this weekend. Of course, they're responsible for the reuniting of Henrique Chavez and the International GT Open earlier on this season. Of course, great to see him back, former champion back in 2020 alongside Miguel Ramos. But Team McDonald at the head of the order, looking to deliver win number 2 for Greystone here this season as part of this particular car. Obviously, alongside him, Zach Meakin, who has really progressed and grown through his realm in GT. Of course, raced in the championship last year with Mikey Porter, and now aligned here with Dean McDonald. The Flying Scotsman is going to be looking for a flying start here this time. The garage crew at Greystone we were just witnessing, watching on as they look to get themselves into an orderly fashion. There's Tom Leben, just pensively waiting, and a very vital piece of head equipment there for the sun that's beaming down on the Adriatic circuit here. So the cars now coming around the final corner out of turn 16 here at Misano. They go green the lights, and we put pedal to the metal. It's go! Go, 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 go! Great starts there for Dean McDonald, and already the elite Ferrari under pressure, because here comes Carol Bash up the inside. We got Leonardo Boncini down in 4th place as well. They come out of turn 2 through turn 3. Christian Mansell trying to bully his way through as well. He's got Jim Pla just behind him. Oh, wide moment there for Emsen. He has lost a fleet of places. Mansell's gone past him. Pla is wheel to wheel with him as well. And a moment for Carol Bash, leaving a door potentially open for Leonardo Moncini to make a move as they now cruise through the first sector. Downright poor start for the elite racing team, Chris. Bad news for them.
Great news for Dean McDonald. Those already stretching his legs out of the front of the field. It's Carol Bash up into 2nd place, passing its mark mate, and Leonardo Moncini. Home race for driver and team at Scuderia Villorbe Corsa here at Misano. A dive on the inside from Christian Mansell going into turn 10. He's run it too deep into the corner, and Moncini comes straight back through. A momentary 3rd position there for Mansell, but just too eager on that left foot.
Just couldn't keep it planted heading into the apex, and unfortunately just left the door wide open back again for the car to go back through. Mansell, though, you can't deny his determination. Obviously keen to ensure that he can gain as many places as possible. They've had a really good start here of the Motorsport team. 4th place now. As the lights went green, they really did attack the first few corners. We can just see the BMW M4 running a little bit wide as well. That's Hubert Darmetko just going a little bit astray, coming out of turn 13. So we watch them make their way around the final corner. There's David Fuminelli all over the back at the moment. I think of Tom Emson right now, just trying to get tucked in behind him here as they make the run down through towards turn 1.
Jim Platt had an awful start in the Santalok Audi, down in 22nd place. Remember, he was one of the front runners in the Pro-Am category. So Abril 2nd in class, and then Libor Milota, the best of the bronze drivers in that category, in 9th position overall, ahead of the Porsche of Lucas Wolf and Hubert Demetko's BMW from PTT. That was very sideways out of the final corner on the opening lap.
I do want to correct my earlier statement, as now we see side-by-side Darmetko under pressure here from Anthony Bartone, who's going to brush past and try and reconvene that P11. I think he may have lost out, though. It did register on the timing screen that Bartone had made the move here on Darmetko, but I think the BMW has just managed to snatch it back. But yeah, I'm going to correct my earlier statement. Not used to seeing Fuminelli not in a red car, because now he's in a white car.
Yes.
It's Vincent Abril all over the back of Tom Empson as we speak. And incidentally, we're running on board here with ZRS Motorsport. It's Alex Fontana, who currently sits in 7th.
What a stunning white Ferrari it is as well from
is.
Almanar.
Very sharp.
Striking looking machine. Almanar with a new operating partner for this year, moving on from WRT and BMW. Previously, it was Get Speed and Mercedes. Last time they were in the GT Open Championship, getting some extra miles under their belt. And now with Dragon Racing, I think it's only the 4th event that they've done together with their new operating partner. We see Moncini here. After a really strong first lap, does seem like a bit of a cork in the bottle here, doesn't it? With Mansell and Empson right on their tail. Abril under pressuring them for now. But of course, in the second part of that race, that car will go back down the order when Laurent Timaeus takes over the car, the bronze driver. You'd expect the pro cars to then find their way through. But Dean McDonald, fastest lap of the race last time, around a 1:34.1 flat, and he's 1.8 clear of Carol Bash, which is another good car to have in between himself and his pro rivals, because that's another car that will slip back in the second half of the race, you would anticipate. So going very well for Greystone at the moment, and Moncini with a lot of cars in his mirrors.
Yeah, Carol Bash still currently nestled in 2nd at the moment, but he has managed to spread the gap to Moncini by 1.5 seconds. But McDonald checking out at the moment. Last lap was the fastest lap of the race, so 1:34.1 for Dean McDonald, as you see it at the top of your screen, everybody. So now watch them head down through towards the next sequence of right-handers before then venturing down that long straight. And there's Dean McDonald at the front for Greystone GT McLaren in the 720S, with Bash in the Ferrari 296, with Moncini in the Lamborghini, Mansell in the Mercedes. It's 4 different manufacturers inside the top 4 as we're currently looking at it. So they head down in towards the heavy braking zone, and then swiftly around turn 14. Mansell really cruising on the back of Moncini here, only waiting for that Lamborghini to make one mistake, and then he can just swan on through.
Julian Hahn, meanwhile, has taken over the lead in the AM category in 13th position overall. The Target Racing Ferrari, that's a wildcard entry for this weekend. It's Jean Monegro in 2nd and Andre Lewandowski 3rd, and that is because the pole sitter in that category, Søren Mazur, has tumbled down the order. It's down in 25th position overall and 7th in the categories. We've got Dexter Muller getting around Jean Monegro, or actually it's Monegro putting Muller under pressure. Now, Jean Monegro, our Spa 500 winner in the AM category. Dexter Muller, who's already been on the podium twice in the Pro-Am category so far this season. It's for 14th position overall. They're also joined by the pro car of Rafael Duran and the AM championship contender of Andre Lewandowski from Baron Motorsport.
Marcelo Ramirez, so watching all this unfold, he has the best seat in the house, along with Andre Lewandowski, as to what's going on in that group. Mansell still cruising on the back of Moncini's Lamborghini. It's McDonald, on the other hand, once again checking out with another fastest lap of the race. And purple inside the first two sectors as now Mansell has another little look on Moncini again. This is not the first time we've seen him do this down this long straight. This is one of the most attractive overtaking points on this racetrack. And now Mansell again glued to the back of the Lamborghini and utilising that Mercedes grunt to peel on through. Just get the feeling that the lines that Moncini's taking here, they're ever so inviting for Mansell to make the move here against the Italian.
But for now, it's 4 different manufacturers inside the top 4 with McLaren, Ferrari, Lamborghini and Mercedes. How long is he going to stay that way? Because Mansell is looking very racy. Moncini really looks like he's starting to struggle in that SVC Lamborghini. This might provide a little bit of context as to why Søren Mazur fell down the timing order. Incident under investigation between Søren Mazur and Rafael Duran in the 51 AF Corsa Ferrari. So that could be why Mazur fell down the order so much from AM pole position. This flurry of cars makes its way out of turn 6, being reared by Alex Fontana in the ZRS Motorsport Porsche. Still, Moncini is able to hang on to 3rd position for now, but does seem to be struggling to get it into the corners and runs wide on the exit of turn 8 as well. Quercia corner, and this is where Mansell had his big dive on the opening lap, and you can see he's got so much more ability. He's actually just taken either a bit of the paint off the curb or a bit of the front of his car off. Such was his aggression over the curbing there. He's looking very
Oh,
racy. Oh,
no, that's the Dragon, I believe, the 25 that is currently off. Kalila Letlaka behind the wheel of that. Is now
Suin Misur.
Suin Misur. So those two cars have gone off. Obviously alluding to the incident that is being reviewed at the moment. That is the Rafael Duran incident. They actually have called Duran's team manager to race control, so we'll wait to hear some news on that, folks, and report it back to you. Mansell all over the back of Moncini at the moment, and you have to wonder when, at some point, will we see Mansell pull the plug on Moncini's run in third place. Just see the grass getting kicked up as they venture around the final corner and take the home straight, leading down through towards turn one. There you can see Tom Empson just in behind. A poor start, obviously, has left him in this position where they're fighting from fifth place.
Well, will we need a safety car for that incident that we didn't quite see where it was on the racetrack? It goes from bad to worse for Suin Misur, I'm afraid. And yeah, it was Khalil Letlaka, the other car involved in that. No sign of any yellows or intervention from race control just yet. So we continue racing for now. Hopefully those cars will have just been able to move off under their own steam. Fontana getting a bit closer to the back of Vincent Abril's AF Corsa Ferrari that had a puncture in the middle of Eau Rouge, and that is the championship contending Andrei Lewandowski car that was third in the AM category, getting pitched round at turn 4, the Curva del Rio. Now that, I assume, was potentially contact induced, although shouldn't have had anyone too close to him. On the track, although he has fallen down since going through the last timing split. So hopefully one of our cameras caught that action there. Still, Mansell's, he's getting so much tighter. He's able to use so much more curb than Moncini is.
He looks more dominant inside that long straight, the back straight, leading through towards the heavy braking zone at Carrow Corner. And he's not alone, because Tom Empson has been digging and digging and digging in the back of these two as well. So we could see a thrilling three-car encounter, I think, making our way through the sequential laps that are to come. We're already near enough 10 minutes into this race. We've seen quite a few pieces of action. I think Mansell may have got a better run here as well. Still pursuing on the back, and yes, he's going to go for a late move up the inside. Oh, contact now, and Moncini is round, and Empson wheel to wheel with Mansell. I get a feeling Mansell may have gone a little bit deep into that.
Right rear puncture for the Lamborghini, and that's not going to go down well with any of the locals in the stands. And I fear that Mansell is going to come to the attention of the stewards now with that. Slightly clumsy up the inside, and Abril's trying to take advantage of that and get around Tom Empson. Is side by side with the Ferrari coming into turn 10. A lovely undercut there. AF Corsa versus Elite Motorsport, and Empson trying to shut the door there on Abril, and he has to back out of that one. Fontana with a great view of this battle, but it is young Empson who still holds the advantage now in his second year of GT3 racing, up against the now semi-retired Vincent Abril, who's mainly competing here in the GT Open with us, as he's focusing more on Pro-Am racing now, stepping back from full pro racing. But at the end, it's still Empson who hangs on to that one, and David Fuminelli starting to close in on this train of cars there in the Dragon Run Almanar Ferrari.
Quite a series of Ferraris in the mix of this at the moment. See Empson trying to hang here with Mansell in the initial. Of course, the incident has been noted by race control between Mansell and Moncini at turn 4. Keep you posted again if we hear any news with regards to that. But certainly not one of the finest moments for poor Christian Mansell at that moment, and equally for Moncini, who has now got to limp his car back to the pits in order to get that puncture rectified.
So using that special Monaco helmet is Christian Mansell that he didn't get to use in Formula 2. It's not brought him that much luck.
No, bit of misfortune here at the start of this particular race. He's currently 5 seconds behind Carol Bash right now, and I think more concerned about Empson in behind, who has proven to be a fast customer this weekend, especially after what they managed to achieve in qualifying. Second place, if you remember, it was an all-British front row for the start of this race. Dean McDonald still nestling in purple laps. His last lap again, fastest lap of the race, 1:33.544, and it was incidentally 3 or 2 tenths quicker, as now we see the Dexter Muller battle continue with the Porsche in behind. And that's a FAC Auto Tech Porsche all over the back of him right now. And nose to tail, they'll be heading through the heavy braking zone and then back on the power once again as they make their way through the final corners. This is Mansell and Empson once again.
So they're coming up on traffic now, which is some of the slower cars. And look at that, they were trying to get around Stanislav Jedlinski as Leonardo Moncini gets a new right rear tyre put in there. And make their way back into turn one, getting around Stanislav Jedlinski and some of the cars that have been caught up in various other calamities throughout this race already. Only 13 minutes into this one. Driver change window opens in about 15 minutes time, and remember that's when that green and black Mercedes will have to be stationary for an additional 20 seconds owing to their recent successes.
Yeah, correct. Obviously there's quite a few severe handicaps that have been issued out for a few drivers. Obviously 30-second handicap for, of course, Marcello Hank, Gaylord Obsman, 20 seconds for Christian Mansell, Maxi Gertz. 15's going out to Baron Motorsport for Andrei Lewandowski, Adrian Lewandowski. Insult to injury, really, on top of the incident they had earlier on where they saw their car spin. As we now watch the drivers make their way through. Once again, Dexter Muller at the mercy of cars behind that. That's Jaroslav Veselaho, I think, all over the back of him right now. Nose to tail between them. Veselaho's going to get the run, though, and he's going to have the line heading in towards Quetcher corner. He's not alone. We've got side-by-side elsewhere, too. The number 12 FAC Auto Tech of Joel Monegro Reyes also in the thick of battle as Veselaho looks to crunch the numbers here against Dexter Muller, and indeed swans on through. Lovely move from the Ukrainian.
Yeah, so Joel Monegro also went through and is now battling for the AM lead with Julian Hahn, and a slightly black eye on the front of that Porsche with some of the bodywork around the headlight coming undone ever so slightly, but that is the for the lead in AM, that battle. Now they're getting around the slow-moving Dragon car that we saw caught up in that incident earlier with Suin Mazur. Empson still on the back of Mansell. Don't know where to look, really, do we?
No.
Battles up and down the field. So the AM leaders making their way out of turn 6 and onto the back straight. Oh, no, sorry, a little bit further around the lap. That's coming into the final couple of corners.
Darmenko trying to get around the outside now. Here comes Veselaho. He's going to look to try and gamble. Here, Muller coming back in. Oh, my goodness. That was a huge impact coming through turn 2. Muller had that inside line. Veselaho was too busy with the squabbling cars in front of Julian Hahn and Joel Monegro Reyes. He'll rejoin the circuit, but there's some extensive damage on that front left by the looks of it with the impact from the SPS Carbon Mercedes, and he's going slowly here, Veselaho. Surely, we'll take a look at the moment. Obviously, Joel Monegro Reyes was battling with Julian Hahn. Here comes Jaroslav Veselaho looking for a better run. Dexter Muller just far too late. Just collides with the side, I think.
Veselaho is so preoccupied with the two cars in front of him. He slows up so much going into turn 2. And Muller clearly was not expecting that one.
No.
And why would he? So...
combination, I think, of two different situations.
A bit of a racing incident there, unfortunately. And that's left both cars rather badly damaged. This is side-by-side for the lead in AM, though. Joel Monegro going through into the lead of the race. The FAC Auto Tech car that won both Pro-Am and AM at the Spa 500-kilometre race last time out goes through, but now both of those cars have got to take 10 seconds of handicap as a result. So it's looking good for Joel Monegro for now, but we've still got 53 minutes of racing still to go and that pit stop sequence.
Yeah, it's got the necessary done anyway. That's what's important, get the move and take the AM lead. That's the first job. But now there's a queue of cars in behind that include Marcello Ramirez and Rafael Duran, who are fighting a very different kind of battle. Obviously trying to move their way into the points. They scored theirs in terms of the overall results. So certainly can't afford to be left behind. The 51 has been given a 10-second time penalty. So that's Duran, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, for that incident with Suin Mazur on the opening lap of the race.
Yeah, noted is the incident as well between Dexter Muller and Jaroslav Veselaho at turn 2. So the stewards will investigate that one. And confirmation on the top of your screen with regards to Rafael Duran's 10-second time penalty as well, folks. You can also identify penalties that have been issued on our timing tower with the exclamation mark on the left-hand side of the tower itself. As we now watch the 55 make its way through, but all eyes on Mansell and Empson as they look to contest over the podium. And there is a very sorry-looking Mercedes there. Poor Dexter Muller And the team just investigating to make sure that there's nothing untoward and whether they can actually send him back out again.
It's not looking likely, I'm afraid, is it? Slightly further down, Julian Hahn's been passed by Marcelo Ramirez. Remember, that's the wildcard entered car, the Super Trofeo Asia champion at the wheel. Now a regular in Italian GT as Duran comes down the inside in the 51 and usurps the AM runner.
Oh.
And well, now this is going to get complicated because Ramirez is trying to get around Stanislav Jedlinski. There's the AM championship leader in the Blau Ferrari.
Mancini as well.
And Mancini driving around all of them on his recovery. I imagine will be a lap down to these guys. So Sue Mazur now picks up a 10-second time penalty as well. So that was for the second contact he had, which was with Khalil Letlarka.
Yeah, still a lot of squabbles here. They're all trying to dodge and weave past Stanislav Jedlinski. Marcelo Hahn managing to dance through as well. So Ramirez towing around Duran right now. Those two fighting over their own positions as now we see them cruise through towards the next lap. Obviously, we recognise that the Lamborghini, the Scuderia Villorba Corsa of Mancini also looking just to recover after the pit stop that he had to make due to the puncture that was sustained after the contact with Christian Mansell. They now come through the question corner now and back on the accelerator pedal once again to then later weave through towards the back straight. The Ferrari will be packing some serious straight line speed against Ramirez at the end of that, so we'll need to keep his wits about him.
We're right on board here with Mancini on his recovery. He's got Rafael Duran directly in front of him, so I don't think this is full position. No, Mancini 2 laps down from the race leader, currently in 24th place after limping back to the pits with a puncture, getting that right rear replaced. So that's Duran making the move on Marcelo Ramirez. That's for 13th position, trying to go around the outside of the penultimate corner. Very brave stuff. And Mancini taking full advantage of that, trying to unlap himself against these cars, getting rather involved in their squabble there. But that was Duran getting very punchy against the Mexican of Marcelo Ramirez, and he's carrying so much more speed into the first corner and make short work of them. And Ramirez right now is doing making a bit of hay while the sun is shining. Well, he's got a car in between himself and Duran, and he got the AM championship leader, the Blau number 16 car, Marcelo Hahn, trying to make a move for second position in this race, and that Blau car taking the heftiest of handicaps that I've ever seen in a GT Open race.
30
a
seconds.
full 30 seconds, owing to the fact that Galid Osman is his teammate. They're utilising the silver driver over 40 rule to run in the AM category, but that does come with 10 seconds of handicap. But then when you add on the fact that they won at the second race in Portimao and finished second in Spa, then that all adds up to about 30 seconds.
Extraordinary. So we're now right on board here with Mancini. Obviously on a recovery mission, down in 24th at the moment, behind Khalil Letlarka and ahead of Stanislav Jedlinski. So there's quite the mountain to climb for this SVC Lamborghini. Head through the sequence of right-handers and just see so plugged into the back of Marcelo Ramirez, as Mancini tried and tested here at this circuit in Italian GT. Italian GT champion as well at the same time from 2022. We carry that form here to the International GT Open to at least lay down a solid benchmark for this season. It's all about the championship. That's what the drivers are fighting for. Marcelo Hahn was getting stuck in the grass there for 2 seconds, and it's Julian Hahn versus Marcelo Hahn as they come through the first corner in this next lap. McDonald 5.4 ahead of Carol Bash now, and again the fast laps continue to rein in, though I will say this, Bash was quicker than McDonald over the course of the last lap, but now Marcelo Hahn has another look against Julian Hahn at the inside as they now make their way through the middle sector. And very soon they'll take that back straight, so it looks like Marcelo Hahn might get a decent run, may yet chance his arm. Here comes Mancini looking to recover. At the inside pass Ramirez he goes. So
Marcelo Hahn got very sideways on the exit of turn 6. That would have really compromised his run against Julian Hahn. Target Ferrari ahead of him. So Mancini unlaps himself against Ramirez and finds his way through. And now Mansell coming on to a bit more lap traffic. The 81 in front of him, which is Norikatsu Shibata, with a very different livery from when we saw it last in Portimao. And Empson trying to find his way through. He's getting really compromised here through 5 and 6. And that has allowed Mansell to come through. It could give Vincent Abril the run. He got a much better drive out of turn 6, and it's side by side between Empson and Abril again. And this time it's Abril closing the door on Empson there. And so that is a change for 4th position with Abril going through. Now you'd expect the elite car to come back through later in the race as Abril goes very, very wide on the exit of turn 8. Does that allow Empson to have another run? They break through the right-hander as 9 and 10. And Empson trying to square up the elite car very nicely for this run through the series of flat-out right-handers.
Yeah. Anthony Bartone, their team manager, has been asked to report to race control as well. So, yeah, more investigations underway as we now observe Carol Bash in 2nd at the moment. Mansell has been given some free rein now with the battle that's continuing here between Abril and Empson here at this stage.
This is why Suin Mazern picked up a penalty earlier. So
that was what we saw.
Yeah, yeah. But, I'm not sure what he was trying to achieve there, to be honest.
Don't think it's going to go forward.
That's the contact between Mansell and Leonardo Moncini. I don't think we've had the adjudication on that one
still investigating
just yet, but we're getting more angles of it. It was an ambitious dive from Christian, wasn't it? But to give you some context, Empson was 0.3 of a second behind Mansell at the start of that lap, and since Abril's gone through, they're now 2 seconds behind Christian Mansell. So that is how much they lost just in that little squabble. A, trying to get around the back market, and then B, having their own little squabble.
Yeah, well, all this has effectively allowed Mansell some breathing room now ahead of Vincent Abril further up. We saw also earlier on ZRS's Alex Fontana vigorously flashing the lights against Shibata just to make sure that he was given clairvoyance to go around because he didn't want to lose too much time off the back of Tom Empson. So he wanted to try and remain plugged in. Empson all over the back of Abril right now. Abril capitalising on the traffic, which allowed him to get the run, heading down through towards Quercia Corner, and therefore allowing himself 4th place. Empson's now got to do his damnedest to try and get back past, but we'll wait and see whether he can do that. 45 minutes still to go. The investigation's now underway for the incident involving Dexter Muller and Yaroslav Veselaho, so we should hear a decision on that very soon. One thing's for sure, the stewards have been very busy during the first half of this race.
I'm losing track, George. It's astonishing. Keeping the stewards very busy indeed. Again, getting around the Stanislav Jedlinski car. Fontana hot on the flasher, as he often is. He does manage to go through there. Still, Empson and Abril very close together in their battle for 4th position still. And they gained half a second on Christian Mansell on that previous lap. So they clearly got the pace over the motorbike car, just struggling to get around it. Such is the nature of the circuit. Pit lane will be open for duty in about 2 minutes' time. Is that like tyre smoke or engine smoke we could see there on the... It might just be a trick of the camera, but it certainly looked like something had...
Might be the heat haze or something. I mean...
Looks like there's some there as well. That's why, the target car. So that is Julian Hahn that was battling for the AM podium with a horrible left rear puncture there. That's the smoke we can see. It's Michelin rubber smoke.
Yeah, so there we go.
And a bit of carbon fibre bodywork smoke as well.
Absolutely, obviously with the rubbing that's ongoing against the bodywork of the car. So we're now looking at Empton, who sits in 5th. Mansell has been given a 10-second time penalty for causing a collision. So that's the decision made after the incident we witnessed between him and the SVC Lamborghini.
So that's on top of 20 seconds of handicap as well.
Yeah, which is insult to injury, basically, here at this point.
Compromised race for Motorpark.
Yeah, obviously, they came in championship leaders, but it looks like after this race, it could very likely swing.
They'll definitely close up. They had a rather healthy lead of 12 points going into this race, so I wouldn't be surprised if they still lead the championship tomorrow morning, but one thing's for sure, it's going to be a bit closer.
Yeah, and obviously Empson well placed to capitalise off the back of that, considering that they are only approximately 1.6 behind Mansell. at the moment. Obviously, they do have Vincent Abril stuck in between them. The ZRS car of Alex Fontana waiting in the wings to pounce, as he so often does. Will be swapping out for Pietro Armani, who'll be driving in his home race here this weekend here at Misano. And for the benefits of having Monza later on the season, it means he's going to have 2 home races this season, obviously with one being here at Misano, the next one being at Monza Temple of Speed. The speed trap times are starting to light up as well, in terms of the speed. Now in comes the 39, obviously the rear puncture for Hulin Hahn. They're going to address that with a brand new tyre, brand new Michelin tyre on the rear left of the car.
Had he taken 10 seconds longer to get into pit lane, he could have done his pit stop.
change. Well, the change has just come on now.
Exactly, so, yeah. He's arrived just like a few seconds too early there, but his race is pretty much destroyed now anyway, but it would have saved him a trip back into the pits. So, front runners, well, expect to stay out as long as possible. Especially the Pro-Am cars who've got their pros in at the moment. So the first of those who don't will be Lucas Wolf in the number 11 car. In fact, first car into pit lane.
He's come in,
just tripped the beam at the beginning of pit lane. So the third place car in the Pro-Am category coming in to hand over to Alexander Fark, who was mightily impressive at the Spa 500-kilometer race. Anthony Bartone coming in to hand over to Fabi Schiller, and Libor Milotta in to hand over to Philippe Salicada as well in the ISR Audi.
Yeah, Norikazu Shibata also coming in, Kalila Letlarka coming in as well, so we're going to see Charlie Fagg step in place of Shibata over that 81 Ferrari. FAC Autotech making their necessary changes as well with their own driver swaps. ISR Audi, Philippe Salicada hopping in place of Libor Milotta. The teams will now be observing the required handicaps should they have to serve them. Fabian Schiller, as we already mentioned, jumping in place of Anthony Bartone in a very familiar skull and crossbones livery that we've witnessed take on full season campaigns here in the International GT Open in the past. Team Motor Park, Marcelo Ramirez swapping out for Dominic Baumann. Ever a vicious presence in any race is Dominic Baumann, as we now see another swathe of cars come in. Charlie Fagg, Norikazu Shibata swapping over as well. It's a very, very busy pit lane. And of course, with where our commentary box is situated, we are right by the escape. So we're watching the cars come out after they made their changes, and the vibration and sheer noise coming off the back of these cars.
You might be able to hear
astonishing.
It through our headsets. But yeah, the whole box rumbles every time a car comes past us, particularly the V8 and V10 powered machines. Absolutely fantastic stuff, and people wonder why being at a racetrack feels so alive, and that's exactly why. It's the kind of thing you lose when you move to fewer cylinders and more turbochargers, unfortunately. But some of these cars out here do still hit you right in the feels. McDonald's advantage now 5.2 seconds.
Could be trouble. Could be trouble for Ramirez and Dominic Baumann, because team manager for Car 28 report to race control immediately.
I think there was contact with the 6 from Baron Motorsport. Andrei Lewandowski saw pop up earlier. I wouldn't have thought they were that close together on the road, but there seemingly has been some contact there that they're taking a look at.
Yeah, obviously lots of eyes watching across this race at the moment, but I must say the only vision that Dean McDonald has had is a clear track until now. He has got a little bit of traffic in front of him this time, and it is the Aston Martin that sits in front. But this has been an undisturbed race really for Dean McDonald, and a perfect race for Greystone DT. They've left everyone else behind, and very soon, of course, McDonald, you can imagine doing the monster version of the stint. We now have Christian Mansell coming in. Remember, this car does have on top of the handicap the time penalty after the contact with Moncini. It's now Maxi Gertz who will hop into the car. Our GT Open Spa 500 winners really up against it here in this race, given the nature of the time penalty and the handicap they have to serve.
So McDonald putting a lap on Piotr Vera's good speed Aston Martin there. He spent so much of this season balked up behind other cars as Team McDonald. He must be loving being out there in clear air, and he said What was it he said after qualifying? It was a bit of anger that helped him towards pole position, and yeah, he is definitely channeling the dark side of the Force at the moment, isn't he?
I was going to do my best Arsidious impression, but I thought, let's not let the audience suffer.
We can't do Ian McDermott dirty like that. It will ruin a lot of childhoods.
Yeah, it certainly would, but nevertheless, this is a much more assured Greystone GT performance, and especially after the misery at Spa. Spa has not been their best friend over the last couple of years, but to come back like this is truly astonishing, and we firmly expected it because they had to take full opportunity of this situation where they don't have any handicap to serve, and on top of that, starting on pole position, they are acres ahead of everybody else. As now Maxi Goetz leaves the pits, and he'll be rejoining the action. And obviously a driver that has got a flood of experience in GT racing, Mercedes factory driver, took or aided Levente Reves to the GT Open title last year, and he's looking to do the same alongside Christian Mansell, but is committed to this championship for the full season this time. Puerto Vera will now be hopping out of the car, and he will be replaced now in the 14 Goodspeed Aston Martin. There is the elite racing Ferrari Tom Empson after the incredible qualifying stint. Tom Leben will hop in, of course, a driver that moved from single-seaters a couple of years ago and had a full campaign with us in the International GT Open last campaign, and was part of the youth movement that we witnessed in this championship. Now go on to do great things, as now we witness a little bit of side-by-side. Now that is the 55 that's looking to make places, and look at this now, side by side. That's was Vincent Abril, I think, in that car.
That was very nearly a third contact for Suan Mazur there, as Abril took to the far inside of the track and even to the bollard to try and avoid contact there.
Yeah, refueling, now onboarded for the Grupo Prom as they await to take their Manor livery back out onto the track. Greystone GT, though, Dean McDonald now has, well, I mean, there's 7 minutes and 40 or so of the driver change left, and I'd imagine he'll do a plethora of this. Given their pace, Greystone will just want to let him carry on, let him just cruise through the remainder of the stint and just leave it till the very last minute. Fastest lap for Tommaso Mosca over the last lap at his home circuit as well.
Yeah, so he's just got aboard the 51, and yeah, 33.3 last time round for Mosca. But remember, that car is also carrying a 10-second time penalty after Rafael Duran's contact earlier on. Oh, that was Dean McDonald getting a little bit compromised in the traffic, as that's the Goodspeed car again that Thomas McJosh has just taken over from Piotr Vera. If it gets a little too intense in terms of the traffic, they might bring McDonald in slightly earlier than initially scheduled, because the lap time difference normally between the drivers isn't too great. It's often about track position as well, and I think that's what Elite Motorsport have gone for as well, trying to get Tom Leben into a bit of clear air and see if they can jump Vincent Abril so that he doesn't have to go around Laurent de Meus later in the race.
Yeah, Tom Leben, who rejoins us, obviously spent a good deal of time with Arden Motorsport in the FIA Formula Regional European Championship, now moving into GTs. Of course, made a name for himself winning the GT4 European Series title, and now moving into GT3, looking to now pounce on the Manol Racing Grupo Prom car, and swiftly moves on by as he looks to push the elite racing Ferrari into an agreeable position. In comes the race leader, Dean McDonald, after a magnificent opening stint. He'll have every reason to be delighted with that. A promising start, continuing from the mighty pole position that he obtained this morning. And now it's the turn of Zach Meakin, who will take control of the 720S McLaren.
So the McLaren GT3 Junior taking over, the British-Ukrainian 19-year-old, who's already a race winner in this championship. Remember, victory back in Portimao, the second race of the weekend. Some fresh Goodyears going aboard there as well. The refueler ready to connect as well. So 65 seconds of stationary time. Another 10-second time penalty coming in for causing a collision, and that's going to Marcelo Ramirez in the car that I assume is now being driven by Dominic Baumann. Yes, it is, in the 28 from Team Motor Park. So that's the fourth penalty we've seen come through of contact. It's been a busy one for the stewards out there, that's for sure. So we see Maxi Gertz out there on the track. This is Julian Hahn, who's had to come into pit lane for a second time in this race. Back out onto the racetrack comes Zach Meakin. So Carol Bash, Vincent Abril, Alex Fontana, and David Fuminelli still out there circulating on the track, but there's no reason to suspect that Meakin is under pressure for this race lead when those guys come into the box. And coming out into a solid bit of air there, he's in front of Lorenzo Ferrari. Just about, hopefully we'll get that car up to speed before Ferrari has an opportunity to try and come through. And FAC Autotech giving a little bit of attention to the front bodywork of Jean Monegro's number 12 Porsche after the bodywork was seemingly coming a little bit loose. We saw that earlier on in the race.
Alex Fontana currently riding on board with third place at the moment. Carol Bash taking over the race lead since Dean McDonald's departure, and driver change as well, trying to get past the Manuel Grupo Prom car that sits in front. Obviously just traffic that he's trying to negotiate himself around. Obviously Vincent Abril is up the road from him by 1.6 seconds. Fabi Schiller now with the fastest lap of the race, as now in comes Fontana up the inside, and now has given himself some clear air to work with. And he can now focus on what's in front of him here. Monegro Reyes still in the pit lane as it stands, so Schiller is now inherited P12. With that fastest lap, we'll look to continue the fastest lap run and close up to the back of Philip Salacada in the Bartone brothers livery. It's the 63 now in the pits. Leonardo Moncini, who's had a very unfortunate stint in many ways after the contact that left him astray after the contact with Christian Mansell. The 63 has been changed over, and it will rejoin the action for SVC as now we come back to Maxi Gertz, who is once again on the move and trying to take down Serwin Mazur. He's been stuck behind Mazur for quite a while now because he was all over his rear approximately 5 or 6 minutes ago, and now looking to make the move this time. Of course, bear in mind he needs to make overall places, and this is for the top 10, or P9 now.
Mazur's just come into pit lane, so that clears that one up and releases Maxi Gertz, who should be in a net third or fourth, you would think, but of course that does have to take 10 seconds at the end of the race, so we'll get an idea on that a little bit later on. But Tom Lebon is starting to light up the timing screen. He's just gone fastest in the first sector, so starting to close. He's 13 seconds behind the net race leader, Zach Meakin. As you see, Serwin Mazur in the pit lane, and the Lewandowskis handing over as well, the father handing over to the son, and the Baron Motorsport car just behind them. Meakin getting a little bit sideways in the middle of the high-speed right-hander, pushing that car, isn't he?
Quite a change in tone as well for Tom Leben, obviously talking about the lack of pace coming into the Spa weekend. All of a sudden he's lighting up the timing screens here at Misano this time. I mean, they did eventually find their pace at Spa. Of course, they've had a really promising run so far this season, hence why they are second in the championship. They finished second, of course, in the Spa 500, but aside from that, fourth in the first race of the season. Second race was third. It's been fourth, third, second. Surely by the law of averages, it has to be first now.
Well, they've got quite the gap to overcome first, haven't they? Carol Bash into pit lane. The leaders now starting to come in. This is their last opportunity to do it. So Bash, Abril, Fontana into pit lane. Now Faisal Al-Zubair's just gotten aboard the Almanar Ferrari and come back out onto the racetrack. So Carol Bash handing over to Marcin Jedlinski. Laurent Demeas taking over the 55 behind them, and then Pietro Armani taking over the ZRS car. Home race for the 20-year-old from Isio, and the Rovigo-based squad run by the Zambon family. I believe it is Nicolo, the son, who is here this weekend and running things, but actually missed the victory in Portimao, did Nicolo. I believe it was Alessandro, the father, who was running the team on that day. 5-second time penalty coming in for car number 96.
Well, that's so they've actually penalised Yaroslav Veselaho for the collision with Dexter Muller, I believe. That's the incident that we witnessed earlier on. So obviously we did question as to what they might do about that, because it was almost like there were two cars in two different situations altogether. Obviously Yaroslav Veselar, who was so busy dealing with the two cars that were in front of him, a misjudgment somewhere has landed with both he and Dexter colliding.
That's an interesting one then, isn't it? As the Pro-Am leaders make their way back out onto the racetrack, Marcin Jedlinski ahead of Laurent Demeas. They will be chased down by Alexander Fark, who is the third Pro-Am car. Remember, all the other Pro-Am cars now have their pros aboard. So it'll be these two hoping to survive to the end of the race and hope that they've got a big enough advantage that Fark can't close them down, who I think is about 30 seconds or so behind the class leaders. But I'll give you an update on that once they go through another timing split. It takes a little while to update.
The good news for Meekin is that he's 11 seconds ahead of 11 at the moment, so that's that one. In fact, it's 12 and a half. So that is brilliant news. Though Leben, I must say, racking in the fastest laps, and his last lap was the fastest lap of the race as well, with a 1:32.9. I think that's a 9:58. So, at the end of the day, that you are talking approximately 5-6 tenths quicker than Zach Meekin over that last lap, and that was Meekin's personal best.
But he's got to get around Laurent Demeas and Marcin Jedlinski, because that is for position.
Oh dear.
Oh, a terrible day for Zua Mazur. Finally comes to a conclusion. So slow-moving kart, turn 8, turn 9, that was it. And I think that was a bit of a mercy killing for the Sendon Racing team, to be honest, as Tom Leben already getting onto the back there of Laurent Demeas. They've got the 81 AF Corsa car in between them. That's a lap down. And that's Charlie Fagg trying to unlap himself. That could complicate things for Tom Lebon. He tries to get around the 2023 GT Open champion. Does manage to do so. I think Charlie recognised the situation there. And so Lebon now going for third position overall. He's got two bronze drivers in front of him that he's trying to clear. And Laurent Demeas very nearly made that very, very easy for Lebon, in fact. And I imagine it will be relatively easy down the back straight now, because the Belgian driver will be very compromised. Now he won't be able to overtake into turn 8 though, but it's okay because he got the move done well before they reached the yellow flag zone. Do we need a safety car to recover that Sendon Racing car? That would put a spanner in the works, wouldn't it?
It would be great news for Tom Leben.
Slow-moving 96 there as well.
Yeah, and had to really get on the brakes as well, did Pietro Armani. And all over the back at the moment has actually made his way now side by side. Obviously, he's on the move as well, because he's trying to catch the likes of Tom Leben. So all this now lap traffic that Armani is dealing with. It's a little bit of a mishmash as they make their way down the back straight.
Safety car, George.
And we have got a safety car. So here we go. Meekin's gap of what was approximately 13 seconds is going to be diminished now. In fact, it was 14.4 after Leben was dealing with a lot of the misdemeanors as he makes his way through the field. That's all going to condense now. We've got a battle for the win.
That was the only thing that was going to compromise Greystone in this race, wasn't it? And it's happened. Now, he does have Marcin Jedlinski between himself and Tom Leben, and Leben's going to have to get around Jedlinski. It's great news for the Fark Autotech crew, because Alexander Fark was 15 or so seconds behind the class leader, which is now going to evaporate. He is going to have to get around a couple of cars, of course, but he's going to be much, much closer.
But you also have to consider some of the other names that this is going to benefit. I mean, obviously, Maxi Goetz has got a penalty that will be added to his race time at the end of the race. It's going to be hard for them to mitigate that. But Fabian Schiller, as part of the Bartow, the Bartow car, is now going to be well positioned and well placed.
He was 40 seconds behind the race leader.
Exactly. So they've got now a huge opportunity now. Not forgetting Faisal Al-Zubair, who is very capable on his best day, is actually going to be matching up against his old teammate Fabian Schiller this time. So
two of his old teammates, because he's got Goetz and Schiller.
So that's going to make compelling viewing for all of you International GT Open diehards out there. So that's Ferrari.
Why has this 96 car been running so slowly? There's a bit of bodywork damage to the front end there, but nothing groundbreakingly obvious on there as to why that car was moving so slowly with Lorenzo Ferrari at the wheel.
Well, it has to be internal regardless. So maybe just an engine mishap, a power failure, could be anything really. I mean, we do see should we say, energy issues, battery issues that can cause problems and cars go slow. That could be a very plausible reason. The safety car, though, out in full swing, everybody, so it means that the cars have to return to Delta, and it's been a miserable day for Serwin Mazur.
Oh, hasn't it just? How many contacts? And, yeah.
Yeah, that's the reaction.
I think an adult beverage has been earned after a day like today.
Yeah.
So you've got the Pro-Am leader in between the top two there. You've got a lapped car as well between Tom Lebon and Pietro Armani, which Lebon is going to be quite thankful for because he'll want to pounce on Jedlinski at the earliest possible opportunity and set his sights on Zach Meakin. So that's a really compelling battle there between two young up-and-coming stars, a McLaren GT3 junior in the form of Zach Meakin and Tom Lebon in his second season of GT3 competition for Elite. Throw in Armani in there as well in his first year of GT3 competition. Alexander Fark will now be right on the diffuser of Laurent Demeus for second position in Pro-Am, and is surely going to be in a very prime position here to take back-to-back victories for the Fark crew. Oh, there was a moment there for is it Axel Jeffries driving the 25? Yes, it was.
Yeah, rare moment.
Don't think we saw that one earlier.
We haven't seen it. No.
Unless that was related to the incident earlier, but I don't think.
Well, that would have been Khalil Letlarka at the wheel of that one.
I don't think it was. I don't think that car ended up in the gravel after that earlier incident. Saw the puncture for Julian Hahn there in the Targets car. And this was that close moment between Vincent Abril hitting the bollards, trying to avoid Serwin Mazur's Lamborghini.
Yeah, obviously they've capped off their day. There's obviously Fabian Schiller behind the wheel of the Bartone Get Speed car. Pietro Armani now behind the ZRS Porsche. That was driven by Fontana during the opening stint. And Porsche actually well placed to do the business here because Armani now becomes a threat of the overall.
Absolutely.
At the same time.
In the AM categories, it's very line astern at the moment. Jean Monegro in the FARC number 12 Porsche leads the way there. And his class rivals, Adrian Lewandowski from Baron Motorsport, Thomas Magjash in the Goodspeed Aston Martin in third position, then Alfredo Hernandez in the Manuel Grupo Prom Mercedes right behind them as well. So, and there was a pretty significant gap between them, I think, actually. So that has really brought down that gap. Obviously, Jean Monegro surviving having those additional 10 seconds handicap to hang on to the AM lead. So he's looking very strong, but it's the younger of the Lewandowskis now at the wheel of the Baron car. And don't forget that those two cars are only separated by 2 points in the AM Championship.
I mean, Porsche have a potential claim here at winning all three classes right now. I mean, with Armani
with two different teams.
Yeah, because Armani obviously with ZRS, then you've got the FARC Autotech team. We're going to take a look at the race start, though, and it was a brilliant getaway for Dean McDonald. Slightly compromised getaway, though, if you're Tom Emson. He did get caught up by Carol Bash, though that is to be expected. We know how fast that Bash really is, and Moncini was there waiting, who started brilliantly, but the pace certainly seemed to pirouette off. There was the mistake from Emson that allowed through Moncini in the Scuderia Villorba Corsa car, and he eventually moved into third place. And it was then Christian Mansell who was left hunting him down. Jim Pla also in the heat of battle at the same time. There was quite a mishmash. The ZRS Porsche. Oh, and there goes. That's Jim Pla.
That's what happened to Jim Pla then.
Yeah.
We were wondering why he had such a torrid start to the race. He absolutely exited stage left out of turn 8 there.
There's an untimely exit for Jim Pla at that point. The Scuderia Villorba Corsa car after the contact with Christian Mansell and the Motor Park Mercedes. This is the view from the broadcast angle, and yes, indeed, it compromised them at that point. And of course, they had to come in and get that tyre changed. There's the contact from the first-person view with Mansell's Mercedes. But they've now since been given a penalty for that incident, much like quite a few drivers have been given for separate incidents out on track.
Safety car coming in this lap, George, so the lights now off on the safety car. Keep an eye on Tom Lebon as he tries to pounce on the Olip Ferrari in front of him straight away. Keep an eye on the white Porsche from Fark Autotech with the yellow trim. We can just see in the background there, that is the top pro driver in the Pro-Am category who'll be looking to make progress on this restart.
Yeah.
This is so much pressure for Zach Meakin now.
This will be a real test for Zach Meakin now, here at this moment in time. With 17 minutes and 45 to go, it's on him now to effectively be the safety car, with Marcin Jedlinski in behind, taking over from Carol Bash. We've got Tom Leben, Armani, DeMeus, your top five. There's a queue, though, of cars looking to take this victory, and Meakin's already gone, and very smartly as well, as we now put pedal to the metal for the second time in this race now. Zach Meakin clear by over a second. Jedlinski behind, but now being challenged by Tom Leben, who's very quick to jump, and now looking to move his way into second place to then maybe land a challenge to Meakin over that top spot. But now as they dance through turn two, Leben is into second. He's made the move. Jedlinski under pressure as now Pietro Armani looks to move on through as well. It's wheel to wheel between the Olymp treble 7. The 911 Porsche, though, squeezes on through. And that, without any shadow of a doubt, is P3 for Pietro Armani. Meakin, Leben, Armani, pro entries, now line astern, first, second and third.
That perfect restart for Meakin because he's pulled 1.6 seconds while Leben was trying to get around Jedlinski there. So that is absolutely prime real estate there as Alexander Funk goes up the inside for second position in the Pro-Am category on Laurent DeMeus. And then we have also had a change in the AM lead, I think, because Lewandowski was at least trying to get around Joel Monegro. And I think is still trying to get around Joel Monegro potentially. 5-second time penalty coming in for the now third place car in Pro-Am with Laurent DeMeus for not serving the handicap correctly. That car's now starting to fall down the order a little bit. This safety car hasn't worked out for them at all. The pro car's sliding through, and there goes Philippe Salacada as well. But we've got yellows at turn 8 once again, and no indication as to what that is for. And
there it
it's
is.
for the fourth place car
Grupo
in
Prom.
AM, which is the Alfredo Hernandez car. And if he can get that going, we can avoid a second safety car, but he's got a front left puncture.
Blow.
And the championship leading car in AM is out of the race. So that's Galid Osman parked at the side of the road.
Now, what does this mean? Do the stewards intervene again? We got plenty of action, though, further back, as you can just see Dominic Baumann trying to move on back. Past the sequential runs of cars. We've got a mishmash right across the order.
Now for the lead.
Fark Autotech, yes, battle over the lead at the moment. In Pro-Am, contact again, Marcin Jedlinski. A little nudge from the Porsche, but on through goes Alexander Fak. He now leads in Pro-Am. A very nice move indeed, fourth place, but there's a sequence, a string of cars. We're nearly 4 abreast in places, 3 at the very least, as they climb down through towards the heavy braking zone coming into the Quetcher corner. There is Maxi Gertz, side by side with Salacada in the ISR Audi. Fabi Schiller further up as well for the Bartone Brothers Mercedes. We're running on board now with Salacada in the heat of battle. Round the outside as well from Al Faisal Al Zubair, who is right in the thick of the action at the same time. This is pure chaos and insanity, but we love it.
And Schiller's got around all of them.
Yeah.
Extraordinary. So we saw that there's another car now. The manual car that got going has had to park now at turn 10. So we've got 2 cars stopped at the side of the racetrack. I do wonder if race control will decide to intervene again. Meanwhile, Tom Leben is already closing down the gap. It's now 1 second between himself and Meakin.
It may have only been a 10th gain over the last lap, but a gain is a gain as far as Leben's concerned, and he has got plenty of time to make this happen because it's only 14 minutes. Well, say only, it's 14 minutes to go. Enough time, surely. And in fact, now as he crosses the stripe, within 9/10 of a second now of Zach Meakin, he is reeling in the big fish, is Tom Leben, as then they cruise down through towards turn 1. Obviously, we just had confirmation there that car 39 gets a 5-second penalty for not serving the required handicap. So that's an additional car getting punished here for not serving the necessary, as now it's wheel to wheel elsewhere. Al Faisal Al Zubair coming under pressure from Maxi Gertz. At the front of this, Marcin Jedlinski. Through goes Al Faisal Al Zubair, as does, no, not quite the Motorpark car. Maxi Gertz slightly compromised. Does that now invite Salacada back into this as well? Nose to tail. Salacada can't quite find the answer. Gertz says absolutely not, and will now go late on the brakes up the inside past Marcin Jedlinski, and Salacada follows him through.
Yeah, so that's the ISR Audi now second in Pro-Am with that move. Right behind Maxi Gertz, the overall championship leader. We've got several lapped cars involved in that. But I think the next car to keep an eye on will be the PTT BMW of Fabian Di Bianca. That should be the next car to try and go through on Marcin Jedlinski, and to give PTT Racing their first podium in the championship.
Yeah, we've got to look to the front though, because Tom Leben is now nearly within half a second. This would be a monumental performance here for Eddie Ives' team. These two cars at the very top of the shop were battling over pole position. It was Tom Empson with a clutch lap right at the end of play that saw them move from P8 to P2 in the classification. And now Leben looking to take this home and take the fight to Zach Meakin. The two drivers, one a Ferrari, one a McLaren, looking to duke it out over the victory here at MISANO in our first ever race. Looking to make history in the International GT Open. Who is going to win our first ever meet here at the Adriatic of MISANO? 12 minutes to go. There is Maxi Gertz. Our Faisal Zubair also just in front, as well as they now cruise on through the slalom further back. Philippe Salicata keeping Di Bianca at bay. Di Bianca may yet reel in Salicata for an improved podium on Pro-Am.
George, just give you an indication here. None of our top three are of legal drinking age in America.
Yeah, well,
that's how young.
Haven't we been saying that the youth of the International GT Open has been a progressive feature now? And this is where the Ferrari is at its very best, around segments such as this. And Tom Leben cruising closer and closer to the back of Zach Meakin. He's not going to be able to make the move just yet unless he's going to pull something out of a hat. But do not count out Tom Leben here in situations such as this, because he is a very fast driver.
So he was 4/10 quicker on the previous lap. The gap, half a second at the last timing split. You'd argue it's even less than that now. Let's see what it is when they go across the timing line on the start-finish straight, because Tom Leben is really closing him down. As this was earlier in the race. This is how Armani got past Jedlinski for third position. It's 0.4 of a second between the leaders as they start lap number 36. As we see again the onboard of Armani, real tight move getting down there. It's the second half of this race been no short of action, and it was Alfredo Hernandez losing it on the exit of turn 8 and sliding into the side of the Blau car that's taken out the championship leader.
Yeah, and that's going to hurt the Blau team, as now we once again rejoin our leaders. Last warnings being dished out over track limits for cars 5 and 51. That includes Tommaso Mosca, incidentally. So that's an unfortunate moment for them, but obviously no penalty issue just yet. But Leben getting closer now to the back of Zach Meakin, and this is all about timing. He needs to pick his spot if he wants to come out from race 1 here at MISANO with a race victory. Pietro Armani also looking to dig deep, but in fact, he's not actually gaining on the front two right now. If anyone's gaining here, it's Fabian Schiller on the back of Pietro Armani. But just look at the top two getting so tight now. Within 0.4 of a second, Zach Meakin and Tom Leben. This is going to be a bitter end battle.
And Fabi could end up on the podium here. He's got the Pro-Am leader in front of him, and then Pietro Armani, so a pair of Porsches. He's got to try and find his way around. But we need to make sure we keep an eye on the leaders there as well, because Tom Leben is really putting Zach Meakin under pressure. Sure, Fabi will try and make this move as quick as possible. Just keep an eye on that timing screen to see what the gap is. It did go back out between the leaders to about half a second. They matched each other to the 10th on that previous lap, did Meakin and Leben, as the battle for third position makes its way into the first corner. And Fabian Schiller right on the back of the Pro-Am leader. Alexander Falk, who was mighty in the Spa 500-kilometre race a few weeks ago, utterly dominating the Pro-Am fight and getting mixed up with the leaders as well in a wet race at Spa, and proving why the Porsche is so popular on slick tyres in damp conditions. But he's got Armani right in front of him as well, so this is not going to be settled anytime soon. Just under 9 minutes left on the clock.
So fierce on the brakes there was Fabian Schiller, all over the back of Alexander Falk, who's going to look to bring home a cold and calculated P1 in Pro-Am class here for the Falk Auto Tech team, in what would be a dazzling display once again for this outfit. But you never know, they could pick up some strong overall points as well here if they finish fourth, and what a statement it would be to finish ahead of Fabian Schiller.
Remember, there's a lot of pressure on the ZRS crew. Not only is it their home race, but also remember they scored no points at Spa. They need to be scoring big points, especially in a race where the championship leaders are only down in 7th position at the moment. And now Armani's getting very defensive into turn 10 or turn 14.
That was very defensive from Pietro Armani. He definitely felt the fact at the run heading down in towards the Caro corner, and it could have been left undone here by a sister Porsche. Different team, of course, but now Schiller. I'm going to send a Schiller down the spine here of Alexander Afak, as he so often does. Looking the long way round, can't quite find the answer. Goes for the switcheroo, though. Looks to the outside through the chicane. Afak with his shields up, full defensive, despite him being in Pro-Am class, determined to make a statement here at Misano. Looking to the outside now against Armani. He's going to find the run. Is he not? Porsche v Porsche. Fak Auto Tech on the move, and past Armani he goes.
Great move there from Alexander Fak, and puts that car into an overall 3rd position for the Pro-Am leader, and puts a car between himself and Fabi Schiller, but not for long though, because Schiller comes through on the inside into turn number 8 as well, and it's game on once again between Fak and Schiller, who could well put Get Speed on the podium on their return with Anthony Partone in that car. This is the leaders though, 7 minutes left on the clock, and Lebon is all over the back of that McLaren. It's a 1/3 of a second at the last timing split, as Lebon follows him through. Look at the car bottoming out as he goes over the curbing in those high-speed right-handers. We've seen so much of that today, but he's looking very composed. Meekin is also looking very composed. I will say he's not making silly errors. He's not going unnecessarily defensive either. He's just soaking up this pressure at the moment.
It's a fascinating exhibition of young talent here, but just look at this from Alexander Fak. What a move from the Fak Auto Tech team driver, and past the ZRS of Pietro Armani. It's like synchronized swimming. Love to see it. Detailed, clinical. That's exactly what you want if you're a team boss watching on. As now we see side by side. Oh no, dearie me, and that is Dominic Baumann. Baumann is off.
That was Baumann, I think, trying to get around the outside of Tommaso Mosca for the last point.
Tom Empson there as well, just a big smile on his face. Don't worry, folks, I don't think that's to do with the incident,
no,
so don't worry.
More at seeing his friend, his namesake.
I think that's the nerves, Chris, that's the nerves. That's called nervous laughter right there. Yeah, I mean, the 51 of Tommaso Mosca meeting Dominic Baumann, and unfortunately, the 28 is around.
The 51 actually has just picked up another time penalty, this time for track limits. So that's 15 seconds of total penalty.
They did have a last warning, so I'm not surprised.
Yes, yeah. So that's on top of an earlier contact penalty from Rafael Duran, and so that car's going to fall outside of the points anyway. Poor Dominic Baumann now in the pits in that 28 car after that contact.
Yeah, tough visit for them this time. 5 minutes and 10 to go, and we rejoin the action up at the front. We can't take our eyes off this, folks. A dance between two members of the young blood of the International GT Open.
Did you see Tom on the grass there, basically trying to open up the entry for the last corner?
Using absolutely everything he can to try and take on this McLaren 720S. Of course, our next track that we're going to be meeting is Hungaroring. What happened at Hungary 12 months ago? Elite Motorsport took their first win in the International GT Open. History-making moment for Eddie Ives' Elite Motorsport team. They would love to take another victory here, but they have to dance past Zach Meekin, who is also on a voyage of progression with Greystone GT McLaren, and aligned with Dean McDonald, who pulled off perfection in his initial stint. And just think, if it wasn't for the safety car, Meekin, you would have fathomed, would have been home and hosed here in this. But after the safety car came out, it's offered an olive branch here to the Elite Racing Ferrari team, as now they make their way through the middle sector, and very soon the latter point on this racetrack. Bartone all over the back, or Schiller, I should say, all over the back at the moment of Alexander Afak. This P3 podium, every step on the podium is up for grabs right now.
Certainly is. Winding up the entry through turns 9 and 10 there. I'm trying to think the last time we had a Pro-Am car on the podium, George. It's been certainly a very long time since we've seen that, and Fabi's going to try and stop that from happening. It's been a marvellous run from the Fak Auto Tech crew, who have got so synonymous with Porsche racing, not just in GT Masters, but in Porsche Super Cup action as well. So no wonder they've come in and started doing just a cracking job in their first season in the championship here.
How menacing are those teeth on the front of
I
that?
know, I absolutely love it. It's just the cue the Jaws theme right now for the Fark Auto Tech crew.
Incredible.
3 minutes to go, so you'd imagine 2 laps left on this one. Depends when the leaders went over the line, didn't it? We might squeeze a third one out, actually. Schiller actually fastest of anyone in the middle sector on that previous lap, so he's certainly got the pace inside that Get Speed run Mercedes. But can he usurp young Alexander Fag in front of him? Mercedes factory driver, of course, knows all the tricks in the book.
Schiller really close now to the back of Alexander Fag's Porsche. Back Autotech man must be absolutely sweating buckets inside the cockpit right now as they now take a turn through towards Quetcher corner. Schiller very, very close indeed, and now looks to the inside. Sends a warning shot, late on the brakes, but not late enough to gamble for the move, but maybe compromising Alexander Fag's exit just a little bit, swarming all over the rear of the Fag Autotech Porsche, but no opening has been made available just yet. Fag has driven absolutely brilliantly so far. No movements up at the front either. Tom Leben with the fastest lap of the race under his bonnet at the moment too. Currently, his last lap though, 133.5. Very little improvement he can make right now because any improvement would mean an overtake on Zach Meakin here at this stage. We'll wait and see whether he can deliver because we are inside the final 2 minutes and Schiller also ever so determined to grab this P3.
Can we come back here next year?
Oh, I hope so.
This has been absolutely fantastic. So when do the leaders go over the line? We are going to get 2 more laps out of this race. So that's probably good news for Fabi Schiller. And I think the tyres on that Elite Ferrari might just be starting to give up because for the first time in a while, Leben lapped slightly slower. And I've noticed he's not following in the wheel tracks on the straights now, so that car might be overheating ever so slightly, and that's great news for Zach Meakin.
That's a crucial personal best for Zach Meakin over that last lap.
Yeah.
Obviously, if he can keep this pressure up, obviously it's going to be harder for Leben now, as you so rightly say, Chris, with the pressure applied to the Michelin rubber. Of course, we know how quick the Ferrari is as we now take a look at Fabian Schiller once again. Now, he's got to capitalise on this because he got a brilliant run heading down towards Quetcher, but Fag is securing that inside line. Schiller's going to take him all the way in the number 9 Bartone machine, and he can't find the answer. Fag pushing him all the way, forcing him to use every ounce of track, but it's not enough to get past the Porsche over P3.
Yeah, I'm afraid that was only going to end one way, Fabi, with going around the outside like that. And so he's got one more lap to try and regain his composure and close up to the back of that Porsche. Again, this is supreme driving from Alexander Fag, keeping a Mercedes factory driver at bay. And once again, we've got 4 different manufacturers inside the top 4, McLaren, Ferrari, Porsche and Mercedes, all represented in there. A little bit like earlier in the race, but very different cars now, very different teams on it. So the leaders have started the final lap of the race. They're separated by 0.6 of a second when they went over the timing line. Zach Meakin on course for a second victory of the season here, but it's game on for 3rd position with Schiller going to the outside at turn 1.
Yeah, nose to tail still. Schiller looking for that better line coming out of turn 2, but it's been compromised again as Fag puts the defensive shields up. But is there going to be an opportunity once again on the run down through towards the Quetcher corner? He went close before, did Fabian Schiller. He had an opportunity. He's going to come around now the double right-handers before they're making his way down through towards Quetcher. He'll now take the turn out of turn 6, and now the corner, the non-existent corner, which is effectively turn 7, the little kink in the course, and Schiller getting the run around the outside. Looking to go late on the brakes once again, trying to go the long way around. Will he switch back, though, coming out of Quetcher? Maybe try it. Oh, oh my, Fag making a mistake, and Schiller waving on through. The Schiller move from Fabian Schiller, moving the Mercedes inside P3 now. A top 3 a podium, but a final lap battle as now we see Meakin wheel to wheel now with Tom Leben, who's leaving it late. He's got the line, he's got the move. Has he got it done? Yes, he has.
Unreal!
Tom Leben, late in the day when he needed it most. Elite Motorsports returned to the International GT Open 12 months ago. They took their first win at Hungaroring, and at the very last breath of the day, they take victory here at MISANO.
How did he do that?
It's sensational stuff. Tom Leben history-making performance here for Elite Racing. They managed to secure the victory, a first international GT Open victory in the history of the championship at Misano. Our first trip here, and it's Elite Ferrari who take it. What a moment, let's see it again.
Oh my.
Rubbing his racing through the final sector. Tom Leben lighting things up in the Michelins. D. McDonald can't believe it. Greystone is stricken. They thought they had it, and if it wasn't for the safety car, they almost certainly would have done. But Elite Ferrari, they were fourth. Race 1, Portimao. Third, Race 2, Portimao. Second, Spa 500. They're winners. 4, 3, 2, and now it's 1. It's
speechless.
Tom Leben who takes victory alongside Tom Emson. What a performance. Congratulations, Eddie Ives.
I'm utterly speechless, George. That is just one of the most extraordinary finishes we've ever seen in the GT Open. What a first visit to Misano for us here. Oh my goodness. That is just utterly supreme stuff from Tom Leben, who mounted the pressure on Zach Meekin ever since the restart.
Shades of Max Paul 3 years ago when he made the move around the final corner at Hungaroring to take the victory. Well, what a dramatic ending. Tom Leben and Tom Emson, winners here at Misano, the first pairing to ever do it in this championship at Misano. Zach Meekin, D. McDonald second for Greystone GT. Bartone and Schiller, very late in the day, take third as well. Of course, overtaking Alexander Afak and Wolf over that P3. They finished fourth, though, and the highest Pro-Am winners, Armani and Fontana fifth ahead of Zubair and Fumanelli in sixth, with Salakado Milotta in seventh place, Darmetko Dibianca in eighth, Mansell and Gertz finishing in ninth, Jadlinski and Bash in P10, 11th for Duran and Mosca, Jomanigra Raz in 12th, Demeas Abril in 13th, Let Lager and Jeffries then in 14th, Lewandowski and, well, the two Lewandowskis in 15th place, of course, winner of AM Class, Jomanigra Raz, Moncini and Tester in 16th, Vera and Magjarsh in 7th, with Shibata and Fag 18th, Jadlinski and Korzanovsky in 19th, ahead of Hulin Hahn down in 20th. Then it was Ramirez and Bauman in 21st, Alfredo Hernandez 22nd, Hahn and Osman in 23rd. Quite a few of these were DNFs, incidentally. Yaroslav Basalo as well as Ferrari in 24th. Ahead of Sue in Mazur, Mettler and Muller out as well in 26th, Blanchimont and Pla in 27th as well. But what a moment, what a race. And I must say, this is going to be a moment that feels good for Elite, though dismay if you're Greystone, and you get the feeling that perhaps the emotion has taken hold of Zach Meekin a little bit there late in the day. To have it ripped away from you in the final sector alone is just something you do not want to witness as a driver in that position.
I wish we could see how Leben closed that gap. It was 0.6 of a second when they started the final lap.
I'm not sure you're going to get the door open here, Tom. We'll find out now.
Just found a gap there, but yeah, I guess maybe Zach made a small mistake, but I can't wait to see this moment here as the celebrations in Parc Ferme will commence for Elite. Tom Leben, usually quite a reserved character.
Yeah, well, a moment for them to remember here. What an astonishing result. Elite Ferrari. You are number one, Tom Leben. What a crucial move when you needed it most. And brilliantly placed on the front row of the grid by Tom Emson in qualifying this morning. Both of these drivers have performed valiantly throughout the course of today, and a well-deserved victory for Elite Motorsport.
Yeah, big embrace with the team. Eddie Ives, the team principal on the left-hand side, and a hug from Steph Bush, the team manager. Look at that with Eddie Ives, who's brought so many young drivers through the ranks in Ginettas and in UK single-seater.
These two are just getting started, though, Chris.
Oh, the future of GT3 racing is in very safe hands.
Absolutely is. Let's take a look at the moments again. Just to drink this in, everybody. If you've been tuning in at home, you're not going to see a much better finish on the final lap than this. Wheel to wheel, Tom Leben committed, coming in towards the Caro corner, left it late on the brakes, but just look at how dialed in, hitting the apex and everything. It was just delectable to watch.
That's a fast corner to be going side by side through there. That's utterly unreal.
Do I want to hop on the bonnet? Yes, you must hop on the bonnet.
Do it.
We're not going to see it, though, because we're going to take you through the top three. Fabian Schiller, Anthony Bartone, P3 after a late in the day move on Alexander Afak. Greystone GT, Zach Meakin, Dean McDonald, they had it. They nearly grasped it. They lost it, though, in the final corners because Tom Leben ripped it away from them. Both he and Tom Empson victorious here at MISANO. They're standing by with Alfredo.
So we are with Tom and Tom. Well done, guys. What a race, huh? First bit.
Thank you. Yeah, made a bit of a mess at the start, got sideways at turn 3, but stayed in the right places, in the right positions. Obviously then boxed, and yeah, with the success penalty, we didn't think it was going to be on for the win, but Tom did an amazing job at the end.
Yeah, the final laps were quite entertaining, to say the least, and a beautiful final move.
Yeah, it was hard work, to be fair. Zach did a mega job. He made a few mistakes on the last lap, and I just managed to get my nose in front. But yeah, I think we boxed at the right time and undercut a few cars and maximised our race, definitely. Especially, it was hard work with the 5-second penalty, but yeah, it was really good.
Nice win and fighting for the championship now.
Yeah, we'll see what we can do from here. It's obviously early days at the moment, so yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, it's early days, but yeah, we'll keep going.
Keep going like that. Well done.
We'll try and compile this into a highlights package for you, everybody. And we got underway here at MISANO for the first race of the weekend, and our first at MISANO as well. Great start, had to be said, for Dean McDonald. Managed to get the jump. Wasn't so good for Tom Empson by his own admission, eventually getting challenged by Carol Bash right at the very beginning. ZRS's own Alex Fontana, of course, would take the initial stint for the ZRS team, and you just saw there Jim Pla taking an unfortunate exit to stage left earlier on. An unfortunate moment as well for Mansell, who eventually got caught, and he would have his own moment with Moncini, eventually clattering into the rear right of the Lamborghini, and that later contributed in a 10-second time penalty for the Motor Park car. The driver changes then occurred, and obviously it was the turn of Zach Meakin in place of Dean McDonald after their perfect getaway at the very start of the race, and they continued that. It was wheel-to-wheel elsewhere with Pietro Armani taking over control of the ZRS Porsche, and he would be doing the same as well as the FAC Autotech team, as much as Anthony Bartone and Fabian Schiller's combination would enter into the fight also. Eventually Schiller getting the move done around the outside. Of course, there was a stern battle against Alexandra FAC, but it was FAC's mistake on the escape coming out of the corner, or should I say question corner, that allowed him to go through. But this was the last-ditch moment, the overtake on the very last gasp dance of the race, coming in the final corners, that led to Tom Leben moving into the race lead and securing a historic victory at MISANO. This is how the championship now looks at the close of race 1 in round 3. It is Tom Empson and Tom Leben who take top spot by a solitary point ahead of Maxi Gertz and Christian Mansell. Drink it in. 57 points against 56, with Dean McDonald and Zach Meakin on 37, 20 points back with Alex Fontana, Pietro Armani, 29 points, but level with Alexandra FAC down in 5th place.
Well,
I'm licking my lips for tomorrow.
I didn't expect that. I didn't expect Thomas to be leading, because in all the excitement, I forgot to mention the 10-second time penalty for the 71 crew.
Correct.
Had they not had that, they would have finished in 7th. Instead, they finished 9th.
Yep.
So that would have made the difference there.
They still would have held the lead of the championship.
It's a long way to go, obviously, but goodness me. So 2 changes for the podium places on the final lap there. Fabian Schiller and Anthony Bartone. Great to have them back, even if it is just for the one weekend. And penny for the thoughts of Zach Meakin and Dean McDonald there. I'm sure the anger that Dean McDonald mentioned after qualifying has probably only been enraged there, but let's not dwell on that. Let's just celebrate these 2 young stars, Tom Empson and Tom Leben, their second victory in the International GT Open, and it looks like it's Eddie Ives who's joining them on the podium for this momentous occasion.
Well, God Save the King rings out here for the two British drivers stood on the top step of the podium.
God save the Toms.
Well,
Footage should be called now. That was supreme.
The Toms were tremendous. First of all, though, the P3 trophies get presented to Anthony Bartone and Fabian Schiller. A cracking effort on their part for their big return trip here to the International GT Open. Second place, receiving the trophies, Dean McDonald and Zach Meakin. That's got to be the most bitter receive of second place trophies you'll ever see. They could have so easily laid claim to the winning trophies had they managed to just hold on at the end, but it was the determination of one Tom Leben to carry out the job that was laid out in front of him after Tom Emson stuck it on the front row. They're winners here for the first time this season.
What was it we said, George? Wide open net for Greystone.
And didn't I say 4-3-2-1?
Yeah, no, you did.
And they did.
It's still a third podium of the season for them in 4 races. Still well within championship contention. Once the bitterness of this result and the disappointment has washed away, they will realise there are going to be other opportunities later in the season. But I think Dean McDonald is going to be one fired up individual here.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to rank very high, I'd imagine, on both drivers' best races, you know, without a doubt. I mean, you don't
I think
forget...
that's got to be Tom Leben's best race.
Yes, without a doubt.
That's probably the best moment of his career.
Yeah, without a doubt. And the thing is, manufacturers look at stuff like this.
Oh, yes.
And it's these kinds of victories that galvanise talent. And not to say that these guys haven't shown their ability already.
It's good to see Zach Meakin still getting involved in the champagne celebrations there. So the smile already back on his face. Yeah, that bit of champagne will help with that. We did get the change for third position, didn't we, in Pro-Am? So Fabian Dibionka and Hubert Dametko, PTT Racing, getting their first podium in the International GT Open.
And in a BMW as well. So we get a BMW on the podium in Pro-Am class, which is great news. So well done to Dartmenko and Dibionka. But this is our Pro-Am winner. Obviously, FAC Auto Tech with Wolf and FAC behind the wheel. You've got to give credit to Alexandra FAC where credit's due, Chris. I mean, that was an astonishing drive.
It certainly was, mixing it up there with the overall runners once again.
Could have been on the overall podium.
Lucas Wolf doing a great job there as well. 2 races he's done for the FAC Auto Tech crew and 2 class wins.
Something tells me he'll be staying.
And it's once again double victory for the FAC Auto Tech crew with Jean Monegro taking the AM victory there as well. So another astonishing day for the Swiss crew.
They would have loved the overall podium, that I can guarantee.
Absolutely. Of course, they extend their championship lead over Charles Bateman, of course, not here this weekend. And ISR moving into contention there. That is their first podium of the season, which is surprising to say because they have been up there in terms of pace every single weekend.
But I think that this is them at their best as well.
Definitely.
And which only means that with the rounds that we have left, and there are plenty of them, and races to be had, there's more lying in wait. I would say for all of these teams, all 3 of these teams on the podium at the moment. So yeah, do not write this off as a one-time thing, folks. There's going to be plenty more to come, and indeed for these 2, who will be no doubt challenging for Pro-Am success come the end of the season. So the Pro-Am fight just as fierce as the overall championship at the moment.
Absolutely. It's often the highlight of the day, really, in the GT Open, although today that was the very much the overall. There's so many great fights to be had in Pro-Am, and championship complexion looking even more enticing now. 3 very happy teams up there on the podium. ISR first podium of the season, PTT Racing first podium in the GT Open, and obviously following on from their successes in GT Cup Europe in years gone by.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. Now we'll move to the AM proceedings. Jean Monegro Reyes. It's another great weekend for FAC Auto Tech, can I just say. Amazing effort for the team again. I'm pretty sure they were double winners, were they not, at Spa?
Yes, they were.
Yeah.
So second race in a row, they've won both classes.
So they've done it again. So FAC Auto Tech hitting the heights once more, much like they did back at the Ardennes. They come to the Adriatic, and seems that the same sense is in the air. We are on the coast, different kind of air, as you can imagine, but the sea air agrees with them as well. We've got also standing with them Adrian Lewandowski and Andre as well, who finished in second in AM, and Thomas Magjarsh, who will join them as well.
So João Monegro will take the lead in the AM Championship after no points for Galid Osman and Marcelo Hound, and the Lewandowskis will move up to second in the standings there as well. And good speed on the podium for the second time this season after Piotr Vera running solo in Portimao finished third in race 2. So that means it's a first appearance on the podium for Thomas Magjarsh, the former midfielder for the Polish Warta Poznan team.
Well, now enjoying his time as a racing driver here in the International GT Open, and I'm sure there'll be many more opportunities again for these three teams to once again dish out the goods in future International GT Open races. It won't be long till our next one either, folks. The trophy's presented now to the second place drivers in AM class of Andre and Adrian Lewandowski. And last but certainly not least, João Monegro Reyes receiving the AM class victory trophy as well. Another spectacular weekend. It certainly is for FAG Autotech. They'll stand for a picture and very shortly spray the champagne. But whilst one race closes, folks, another will open tomorrow. We'll have qualifying again tomorrow morning. Be sure to join us then at 9:30 local time. But from all of us here at MISANO, it's goodbye.
Su Leclerc, quindi il duello Ferrari-McLaren.